One great thing about Star Wars Episode 9 that it has going for it is the fact that Rey, Poe, and Finn will be working together as a team in this movie and will have a lot of scenes together in this film. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, I will say that that was one big thing that was absent from the past two movies, is of course Rey, Poe, and Finn all having scenes together as a team. Something very much, like in the original trilogy between Luke, Han, and Leia. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art, and storyboard descriptions, etc. One of which has all to do with a story element within the second act of the movie's plot, featuring Rey, Poe, Finn, and of course the Resistance forces going up against the First Order. Specifically, a description of Rey, Poe, and Finn on a desert world entering a very tall structure. This world may be Jakku or Jeddah. They eventually reach the top of the structure and are looking out into the distance and see many First Order forces making their way toward their location. The forces consist of troopers on speeder bikes, large tank-like vehicles with large blaster cannons, and a shuttle in the air that is very similar to KYLO REN'S. Along with Rey, Poe, and Finn are numerous Resistance fighters behind the wall of this structure. It seems the Resistance is trying to protect it as it holds much knowledge of the Jedi. It soon becomes a large battle between the Resistance and the First Order. Rey and crew make their way down as Rey begins to strike down many stormtroopers with her lightsaber. The saber appears to be Anakin's reforged and unstable this time. Rey also uses the Force to push troopers and throw them out of their way, while Finn and Poe take a seat in a pair of turrets and begin to fire on the tank-like vehicles, causing little to no damage. The First Order begins to shoot at the base of the structure, causing significant damage. The troopers on their speeder bikes begin to start making their way near the structure, only for them to hop on a speeder of her own to go up against the speeder chase sequence. Now, what's really interesting about all of this is that we've been hearing more about Rey on this speeder, so this definitely lines directly up with the filming location over in Jordan, specifically Wadi Rum. Now, with her using her lightsaber and attacking the troopers with her speeder crashing into the side of theirs, eventually Rey takes out all the bikers. Using the Force and her lightsaber, Leia and backup for the Resistance arrive, taking out the tank vehicles, with the Kylo Ren-esque shuttle landing in the distance and Rey, Poe, and Finn running toward the Resistance cruisers that's landed. So, what's really intriguing to me about all of this, and the first thing that I do want to go over, is the very tall structure on this desert world. Now, I do have reason to believe that this is going to be the Jakku Observatory, our very first look at the Jakku Observatory. Now, in case you guys have not read, the novels out there like Aftermath and Empire's End, very interesting reads for sure. Go ahead and look them up. You do learn a whole lot more about what's on Jakku and Palpatine's interest in the planet and what he actually put there. So within this Jakku Observatory, there's actually a lot of Sith relics and artifacts, and it's also implied that Jedi stuff is also in there as well. Now, not only that, the other thing that I find very intriguing is, of course, the forces of the First Order. So they have these large tank-like vehicles that have large blaster cannons that are actually fighting the Resistance on this desert world. Like I say, this could be Jakku, this could be Jeddah once again, coming back into Episode 9 ever since its debut in Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Now, these tank-like structures, we've never seen them before in the sequel trilogy, so this could definitely be a hint at Kylo Ren's new empire and what J.J. Abrams has in store for one of the major land battles in Episode 9. Honestly, I'm very excited because if you think about it like this, we do know that this movie is going to be an all-out war and a war to end all wars. Now, I really wanted to go over Rey using her lightsaber against some of the stormtroopers that are actually on speeder bikes. Now, there will be speeder bikes in this movie, and it's going to be quite a thrill because, I gotta say, that's one aspect of the Battle of Endor that I really enjoyed in Return of the Jedi was, of course, the speeder sequences. Now, the speeder sequences will be making their way back into Episode 9. We can already see J.J. Abrams using that as a parallel to also the final film of the original trilogy. You can see the connections and the mirrors here and there. So she's using this lightsaber going up against numerous speeders. You know, the troopers are actually using these things on this desert world. They all get killed off eventually by Rey. She uses the Force. She uses her lightsaber to combat against them. And she's using a speeder of her own. Again, this lines directly up with what we actually heard about what happened over in Jordan, specifically over in Wadi Rum, is that Daisy Ridley and even her stunt double actually used a speeder in a scene that actually chased others. And this speeder was very similar to the one that was used in The Force Awakens. Yet another major hint that we are going back to the planet Jakku. And the reason as to why I say that is because she does have that same exact speeder that we have all been hearing about in Episode 9, the same exact one in The Force Awakens. It's the same color, the same design, and if it's the same speeder, it must be on Jakku. Now, moving on, what's really intriguing to me is, of course, this shuttle that is very much like Kylo Ren's. Is it actually Kylo Ren that lands in the distance? We're not quite sure. Eventually, Leia and her crew, backup of the Resistance, arrive, and they must grab whatever they can from this tower. So this tower, like I said, it must be the Jakku Observatory, something that a lot of people are very invested in right now when it comes to the Star Wars canon. You know, in the books like Empire's End, you do learn a whole lot more about the lore and such. But anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.